paura di romperla. Ecco. Okay.
Hi, my name is Alberto Bettiolle. I'm 20. I'm from Italy, and this is my first year here in Cannondale. I'm very happy to be part of this team.
Alberto is a boy who is being formed as a person, as an identity thanks to cycling. As much as I hate him, however, I also love him at the same time. On the one hand, he is taking so much from me, but on the other, it's forming me as a person. I consider myself a bit insecure, and cycling, on the other hand, is spurring me on to be more and more confident. Athletically, I could have won a lot more, or even less. I don't know.
Ed ecco l'arrivo vittorioso di Alberto Bettiolla.
Bettiolla che vince!
I thank cycling, and I thank it for these lessons here. I feel grown up and growing.
Tu sei il fratello di Michele?
Sì, di Michele. Antonio,
Ciao,
come va? Bene,
piacere.
piacere.
Guarda,
Ci vuole. Mamma mia.
Ma poi qui è caldo.
Sì, è vero. E facciamo per tardi allora. Ok,
Perfetto.
dammi un po' di tempo, mi preparo e facciamo qualcosa. Dai.
Grazie Antonio.
Grazie.
Allora, assetto bici, top, gara. Manca solo un po' di capelli aerodinamici. Ci siamo quasi.
Qu'elle me dise oui, qu'elle me dise oui, qu'elle me dise oui.
Eccolo qua.
He's the shortest one.
Yeah. Yeah.
J'y compte. J'ai rencontré hier soir peut-être le début d'une histoire.
Oh oh. Oh oh.
En tout cas moi, je vais
Bettiolle in his new glasses.
je vais l'appeler, mais pas tout de suite, l'aménager, cette pépite. Je compte bien qu'elle me dise oui, je compte bien qu'elle me dise oui, qu'elle ne pense pas que je l'attaque, mais au contraire, que j'ai...
Io prima di arrivare professionista.
Before I turned pro, I didn't have many carbon bikes. My first carbon bike was as an amateur, first year, which was when I was 18 years old.
Je compte bien qu'elle me dise oui. Je compte bien qu'elle me dise oui. Je compte
Hi, Chris.
bien. Je compte qu'elle me dise oui.
This is the workshop where all began when I was 6 years old. And when I am home, I always want to help this small society because I think it's a part of me.
Que vais-je me mettre? Je n'ai plus rien. J'ai mal au dos. Ça ne va pas bien. Sortir ce soir? J'ai pas la tête. Rester au chaud.
For Cannondale, it was the brand of Liquigas, of Ivan Basso, of Peter Sagan,
Qu'elle me dise oui.
and before that, of Mario Cipollini.
J'y compte bien.
So I had the idea. It was a very nice bike, very fast and green for me. The color of Cannondale was green.
Ma che figa! Ma che figa! 10 anni. Bellissima. Non ho parole.
Wow, what have you found?
Via, il vecchio batte il giovane, Alberto Bettiol. Acquisto nuovo della Cannondale. Eccomi qua.
Finito.
The end.
Meno male.
Not bad.
Me lo ricordo bene.
I remember it well, but I would never have believed I would be here. Also, because I had turned pro, and physically, I still needed to grow. So it was all a discovery. I didn't even know if I would be able to make cycling a real job.
Feel good. Feel good.
Sono andato in Cannondale.
I went to Cannondale because my agent, Mauro Battolini, had proposed this team to me. But Mauro was one of those people I trusted. He believed in me much more than I believed in myself.
Se vado indietro negli anni ero
If I go back over the years, I was a bit scared. I mean, I was in a big, big world. I knew I was more alone. I was living in a dream. And that also distracted me a bit at the beginning.
Sono Ivan Basso, ho 33 anni, sono nato a Gallarate e sono un atleta del team Liquigas.
Io mi reputo.
I consider myself lucky in this. I grew up in a really nice environment.
Lia, scada la pietra, per favore.
Ho una cosa di cui mi vanto.
I have one thing I pride myself on, and I'm not afraid to say that it's listening. I still remember the advice of my teammates when I was a neo-pro, and I still use and understand them.
Mi ricordo che
I remember calling my dad and my mom and my brother, telling them I had met Ivan Basso. And I remember my brother had asked if he could say hello to him. I mean, he was one of my teammates.
Quanto sono stato fortunato.
How lucky I was to have people like Damiano Caruso, Elia Viviani,
E poi
and then with Peter.
Eccolo là.
There he is.
Hai visto?
Did you see that?
Stiamo parlando di lui.
Buongiorno.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Peter is really an inspiration for how strong he was, for the character he had, the charisma he had, for the competitive edge that he had, the physical structure that he had. He would go running in the morning, come back, work out, lift 400 kilos, and then he would ride his bike and kill us all. It's too difficult to explain in words. He taught me that, you know, the power of the group, the importance of the sporting family. And then another thing he taught me, that this sport, if you enjoy it, you do it better.
Pronto? Ciao Formolino! Vi aspetto in Toscana che vi ho preparato una sorpresina. La situazione è tutta sotto controllo, ora siamo abituati noi al fango. Benvenuti nella Toscana Dakar.
It was changing that I was really a cyclist, a professional cyclist who was a teammate of champions. So when they asked me the questions, I understood that I had to protect that group there, because I was living a dream. I wanted it to last as long as possible, so I couldn't betray my second family.
Adesso a distanza di 10 anni hai un aneddoto carino che ti è rimasto in testa.
Cioè, ragazzi, non è...
I mean, guys, it's not that I can tell you. I just said, I can't tell you everything. I can't tell you everything. I can't tell you certain things. Stay here.
Questo è il primo grande giro.
Il primo grande giro.
Come lo stai vivendo?
Bene, per ora bene. Aspettavo peggio. Però...
Allora, noi abbiamo valutato che se Bettiol si mette davanti in salita, al medio rimangono 20-25 corridori. La grande sorpresa del giro, tra l'altro con un margine del 20%, perché diciamo che non è arrivato con un peso proprio...
Ma comunque è stato bravo perché con quello che è in camera di essere così forte la terza settimana è quello più duro.
Quella con Formolo.
Però sì, per una bella esperienza.
Giro d'Italia. The first Giro d'Italia, I'm honest, what I remember most is the fatigue. I really suffered to stay in the bunch. I have this memory here of the difficulty of the third week.
Il professionismo è questo. Tarà, basta, toccalo un po'. Io domattina arrivo, lo passo sulla bici. Questo è il napoletano Capodimonte.
I've always felt attached to the Giro d'Italia. It's the race of the Italians. It's the most beautiful race because I have so many memories at the Giro d'Italia. I used to go and watch it as a child. I saw so many champions pass by my house.
Cosa vuol dire il Giro?
What does the Giro mean? Maybe it's this. The roads with the Italians who stop and wait for us to pass. I could see myself in those people who would stop to watch the Giro d'Italia because I had done it with my dad, with my friends. Here's my first bike, a rocking horse. I grew up in this small village, Castel Fiorentino. With my family, we lived in a condominium on the 4th floor. The president of the cycling club from my village, he lived on the 3rd floor, and he's still living there today. And he was perhaps the first person ever to realize that I had qualities that maybe he didn't see in other kids. My very first race, I finished 3rd.
Eccoli qua, infatti è un ragazzino dell'Unione Ciclistica Grosseto davanti, si tratta di Antonio Cirillo che viene a vincere nettamente nei confronti di Alberto Bettiol della Banca di Credito di Castelfiorentino.
The following week, always the same route, the same place, organized by our sports club. I finished first.
C'è una pedalata continua, vanno veramente a tutta questi ragazzi, questi 2 giri li fanno senza respirare quasi. Guardate quanto si sta impegnando il corridore Bettiol. Alberto Bettiol è saldamente al comando, facile successo di Bettiol, ha vinto veramente senza rivali. Eccolo qua il corridore Alberto Bettiol, guardate anche l'esultanza con il braccio alzato, con il pugno al cielo.
Maybe for me, it was not a race. It was simply fun. I never took into consideration the fact that it was a competition. Maybe until I was 16. the age when I became a junior, and cycling comes a little closer to professionals. The first victory has value. It's a very important junior competition that I won in my second year, called Coppa d'Oro. I arrived with the Italian champion. I managed to stay behind him on the uphill, and then we do the downhill. At the arrival of the last bend, I take it not first, not second, I take it next to him.
Bettiol anticipa sulla curva, Sterbini lancia la volata.
Then I sprint and win this race.
Ha preso un buon vantaggio l'atleta toscano che vince.
And in that race, there I say, wow.
This
is the guy who started like that as a pure coincidence. It's me. I'm the same, only changed thanks to cycling.
So today, first day at school, for me, first Tour de France. I immediately realized there was so many people, and all along the course, and was an honor, and I was so proud of myself and to be part of this tour.
Avocado, ¿eso es mucho avocado, eh? No, para mí no.
Mi sentivo pronto fisicamente.
I felt physically ready, but of course, I always had a bit of fear. It was more, let's say that they used to tell me, they told me that the Tour is a very stressful race. You go very fast. But I wanted to do it. I was very motivated to do it. I saw Paris for the first time, and then Rigoberto came very close to winning the Tour. I had to work hard, and then I felt the responsibility of having a leader like Rigoberto, that I couldn't betray him. He was the first not to make me feel pressure. He was the first to bring me back to earth, to tell me, yes, okay, it's the Tour, but it's a cycling race. Yes, okay, I'm second in the general classification, but anyway, it's not the end of the world. You know, he was calm. He fell asleep the night before, and I'm like, how does this guy do it? He's second in the Tour de France. He may have won a stage to find the tranquility to fall asleep the night before. Before me, and before midnight, I wasn't sleeping. He didn't look at his mobile phone. He didn't look at anything. Didn't read. He'd call his wife, and then he'd lie there in silence. Sometimes I kept talking to him. He might already be asleep. So I said, all right, so all this stress in me, what problems do I have here? He is second in general, and then he stayed in second on GC, and that was it.
Cazzo fai con la curva, l'ultima curva? Vai piano, vai piano, hai detto entrare vai piano, vai piano.
L'insegnamento più grande di Rigo è
Rigo's greatest lesson is this, is that cycling is a moment of life, and it's not everything. Life is more important. Happiness is more important. Family is more important. This bond he has with his wife, with his land, these are the really important things.
Fine 2017.
At the end of 2017, I had to change teams, and I found a completely different reality, a reality that I didn't feel was mine. Then in 2018, I spent some days, some months in which I really didn't know where to find the energy to move forward. And in fact, when you're not focused and a bit distracted, then you fall. I had a serious accident where I broke both clavicles. I had a pneumothorax, so I felt some pain, real pain. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I almost wanted to quit because I had found a completely different working environment, which I was struggling to get used to. Everything changed quite quickly. Because then I was called back here, and then I returned immediately, and then I started over again. It was a great opportunity that life had put in front of me to return. I immediately felt a great responsibility towards myself. I didn't want to fail again because I knew I had a wealth of experience, and it was time to put it to the test and commit myself to achieving something really important.
Per me allenarsi vuol dire lavorare, come fare un lavoro vero e proprio in fabbrica o in ufficio. ci sono delle cose che devo fare e a volte le faccio anche se non ho tanta voglia. Io cerco sempre un po' anche di trovare il compromesso e di fatto nel professionismo l'allenarsi a volte non è sempre un piacere ma anche un dovere. Noi ci svegliamo e ci prendiamo il peso ogni giorno o comunque un giorno sì, un giorno no. Facciamo colazione in una determinata maniera in base all'allenamento che dobbiamo fare. Andiamo all'allenamento e abbiamo una tabella da seguire. Torniamo, pranziamo e di solito anche lì c'è una tabella da seguire alimentare.
Brunello di Montalcino, signora?
Spesso si va a fare un massaggio perché ci fa bene alle gambe. Abbiamo tantissimi impegni fuori dal ciclismo ma che fanno parte anche questi. Sto pensando ad esempio a aggiornare l'antidoping, a organizzare delle call con la squadra. E poi si va a letto e quando dormiamo mandiamo anche ogni notte i dati alla squadra tramite il nostro sensore che abbiamo, poi si riparte il giorno dopo, quindi noi lavoriamo H24 tutti i giorni. Nel ciclismo si tende a misurare tutto.
In cycling, you tend to measure everything, and also in nutrition, it becomes important to measure all the calories you take in.
Però ecco, alla fine io e
But here, in the end, me and the team nutritionist came to a balanced agreement, saying, I cannot eat any cuisine other than Italian.
Vai, va bene.
Non è mica di olio.
Perché olio? Ma che fai?
Questo è buono.
Olga no,
Mira.
Olio.
Let's ask Alberto if we should have pineapple on the pizza. I do have so much.
Hey! No!
You know my nickname? Betty Spaghetti. Betty Spaghetti, oh, that's your job.
Cioè, voglio prendersi la ragazzi, dopo le 2 in Italia, non si può più prendere, se no siete turisti di merda.
One di cappuccino. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 cappuccini, un americano, un ginseng, un lemon soda.
Le rinunce sono tante.
There are a lot of sacrifices. It's useless to deny it.
Le rinunce sono...
The sacrifices are the lifestyle I made as a teenager that my peers didn't.
Non sono mai andato...
I never went clubbing. I never was out late. I never went on trips to Ibiza. Even now, I don't have an easy life. And dedication, I think, is the word rather than sacrifice. In this, again, my family has made me understand, well, the difference between dedication and sacrifice, because I think they made more sacrifices. But then, when you win a race, you forget everything you did to get there. I just enjoy the event in the moment.
Avete fatto tipo un museo. Ah, che bello. Eccolo qua il primo. Sì. Sì. Perfetto. Eccolo là.
mighty dig with 17 kilometres to go. It is Bettiol. He wants a piece of this. Bettiol has delivered. Oh, that was a fantastic ride.
La vittoria nel ciclismo è una
Victory in cycling is something very difficult, and it's the crowning achievement because in cycling, you start with 180, 190, 160, and only one wins. So, victory is the only thing, maybe, that rewards you 100% for all the sacrificing that you've done. That's why it's so important.
I feel myself shaking.
Il Giro delle Fiandre.
The Tour of Flanders is something that goes beyond sport. It's the story of an entire sport, the story of a people and a country, perhaps.
Staring back and locking eyes. We go.
When I won it, I didn't understand anything. I still don't.
Time again.
Look, the ingredients are few and far between, because they are all there. I had never won a race as a professional, and I had never even come close. We were a team that dominated the Tour of Flanders because nobody expected it. I arrived at Flanders in perfect condition. I had been going strong for a month, and I was showing results to my team and my teammates, so they were sure that I would be going strong. Andreas Klier always said that we deserved flowers.
We need flowers.
And then you win Flanders because you stay calm, because it's a very long race.
Se tutto ti va bene, poi c'è un momento.
If everything goes well, then there's a moment when you feel you're touching victory. And you don't have to shy away from it.
In cima mi volto a vedere.
At the top, I look for Van Avermaet or Sagan to see if they're with me. Then I turn around. There was no one there. I turned around. There was no one there. And I said, now I've fucked up and I'm going straight. It's gone now. I have nothing more to lose. I was the person least ready to face such a path that I am still facing today. It had never occurred to me to have a bodyguard, which they give you instead and then becomes my friend.
Ciao Rick! Come stai? Dammi un abbraccio.
I don't regret anything. It was hard. It changed my life, and not only mine, but everyone around me. But I would do it again 100 times. Flanders is the most beautiful race you can win.
Yeah, I'm really proud. It was an honor to have teammates like these guys and champions like Sepp and Sebastian. They worked for me. It was just something crazy. For the moment, we just enjoy the champagne, and I hope you guys enjoy as far as me. So, cheers!
Because as his opening prologue started, the rain just began to trickle down. It was just starting as Bettiol posted an incredible time of 6:19.
Checking on the radio that no one's ahead of him. Alberto Bettiol can sit up and take the win. He's done it again. He's turned Lombardy into Flanders, and the Italian takes his first ever stage win at his home Grand Tour. Grande, grande Bettiol, the Tuscan.
Simplement, il n'en avait pas les jambes. Parfait de l'Italien Alberto Bettiol.
Alberto Bettiol donc qui réalise le meilleur temps au classement provisoire, alors que derrière lui il reste les 3 meilleurs du classement général pour en terminer.
It was a hell of a risk and it has paid off. Bettiol wins Milano-Torino in blistering fashion. What a ride from the
Un po' questa un po' la chiave del giro.
That's kind of the key to cycling. I mean, okay, it's a tough sport. We risk our lives every day. We travel the world. We spend little time with our families. But if you find an atmosphere that allows us to work with a smile instead of a sad face, then you get over the moments of difficulty.
Stars are dancing again.
Voi siete come funghi voi. Sparite poi di una stagione, poi riapparite.
Sì, esatto.
Come funghi siete.
Sì. Basta. Come va?
Ok. Via, andiamo!
Cazzo volete?
I'm in love with the coco. Coco.